The skies over Iran are roaring with warplanes and missiles. American and Israeli airstrikes are pounding targets deep inside Iranian territory. But Tehran has now responded with one of its most feared weapons, the Sejjil missile. Take a look.
Explosions rip across Iranian cities as Israeli and American aircraft pound military sites. Israel and US say their precision strikes hit missile bases, command centers and infrastructure linked to Iran's war effort. For 16 days, the bombardment has intensified as the conflict enters a dangerous new phase.
We have an organized and well-planned war plan. We still have thousands of targets in Iran, and we are identifying more targets every day. The regime is already weakened, and we continue to weaken it more and more every day.
Iran, on the other hand, continues to launch devastating strikes on what it calls our American and Israeli military targets. Iran now signals shifting from trying to overwhelm enemy air defenses with wave after wave of the cheap but deadly Shahid drones. The focus on potential high-impact penetration strikes in which fewer, faster and harder to intercept missiles. Iran claims to have fired its Sejjil missile, which it says is unstoppable. The Sejjil is a two-stage solid-fuel surface-to-surface medium-range ballistic missile. Iran claims that it has a range of 2,000 kilometers. The 18-meter-long missile can deliver a payload of approximately 700 kilograms. It can achieve a maximum speed up to Mach 4 to Mach 5. Military analysts say the Sejjil missile's speed and long range make it a key part of Iran's strategic arsenal, with American and Israeli aircraft striking Iranian territory. Tehran appears determined to demonstrate that it still has powerful tools of retaliation. Each new Iranian barrage is more sophisticated than the last, catching Israeli and American commanders off guard and forcing a desperate scramble for new strategies to counter the incoming projectiles. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
The Indian government held an inter-ministerial briefing today on the fuel supply situation as the conflict escalates in West Asia. The government has clarified that the country's supply of compressed natural gas and piped natural gas continues uninterrupted across the country.
जी मैं दोबारा से वही बात दोहराऊंगी कि स्थिति अभी चिंताजनक है, लेकिन हमारे डोमेस्टिक एलपीजी कंज्यूमर्स को एलपीजी की सप्लाई की जा रही है और डिस्ट्रीब्यूटरशिप्स पर कोई ड्राई आउट रिपोर्टेड नहीं है.
The government has also said that crude oil availability remains adequate at the moment and the country's fuel supply chain is functioning without disruption. Authorities have reportedly increased monitoring and enforcement measures to prevent hoarding or illegal storage of petroleum products. Officials added that refineries are running at full capacity to ensure steady fuel production and supply across the country.
They are operating at full capacity, and there is a increase in the domestic production of LPG, and now it is almost around 36% of what we were producing before 5th.
As part of the supply management measures, the government has begun enforcing a recent amendment to the LPG control order, which requires consumers who have access to piped natural gas to surrender their LPG connections. The move aims to prioritize LPG availability for households that do not have access to PNG infrastructure. Authorities said raids have been conducted in several states to check hoarding and ensure smooth fuel distribution. Reports also suggest that over 1,400 places were inspected in surprise raids, and over 500 illegally stored cylinders have reportedly been seized by officials. At the same time, city gas distribution companies are encouraging more households to adopt PNG connections. Several companies have introduced incentives and promotional offers to attract new users and accelerate the shift from LPG cylinders to piped gas. The government said that they will closely monitor the situation and they will continue to do so to ensure uninterrupted availability of cooking and transport fuels across the country. Several key shipments are boosting energy supplies as well. The India-flagged LPG tanker Shivalik, remember, arrived at the Mundra port with 46,000 tons of LPG, while Nanda Devi is expected to dock at the Mumbai port on the 17th of March with a similar load. The crude tanker Jag Ladki is carrying 81,000 tons of Murban crude from the UAE and is en route to the Mundra port for tomorrow's arrival. Liberia-flagged Suez Max tanker Shenlong delivered about 1 million barrels of Saudi crude to Mumbai last week. Now, these shipments reflect India's steady import of LPG and crude oil from multiple sources. Several members of Iran's women's national football team who sought asylum are now changing their course. Most have decided to return to Iran despite earlier fears of possible persecution in Iran. Only 2 players are now believed to remain in Australia. The situation, remember, began during the AFC Women's Asian Cup in Australia. 7 members of Iran's delegation, 6 players and 1 staff member initially sought asylum in Australia. Australia granted them humanitarian visas after they expressed fears of possible persecution if they returned home. Now, these concerns emerged after the team reportedly did not sing the national anthem before a tournament match. But the situation has shifted quickly. Australian officials say that 5 members of the group have now withdrawn their asylum requests. Among them is the team captain Zara Ghanbari, who's Iran's leading female international goal scorer. They are expected to reunite with the rest of the team in Malaysia before returning to Tehran. Australia's Assistant Foreign Minister said that the government respects the players' decisions. He's also added that authorities will continue offering support to those who remain in Australia. The Home Affairs Minister of the country said the players were repeatedly informed about their options, but he acknowledged that the decisions are complex given the circumstances that they face. However, the members of the Iranian diaspora and human rights activists have raised concerns. Some believe that pressure may have been placed on the players' families in Iran to influence their decision. But these claims remain unverified at the moment. Iranian authorities, meanwhile, have called their decision a patriotic choice.